Hello and welcome to Talk from Superheroes. Hey everybody, I'm Andrew Ivamy.
And I'm Diana McCullum.
And you're listening to Talk from Superheroes, where every week we discuss a piece of heroic television or film. And this week on the podcast, we are talking about that big, beefy, absolute unit once again.
We're talking about Godzilla Minus One.
Yeah. Godzilla
One
Minus
less.
One. One still big, thick boy, though.
Still thick, still big. He's lost a single pound.
Yes.
He's working on it.
He's working. He's working on it. But we're talking about it this week. It was a limited theatrical release in North America that has now gotten a wider theatrical release. So it may or may not be at a theater near you because it's pretty wide distribution now. I think that most places have access to see this.
I think so. Yeah. Originally, we wanted to see this, and it wasn't playing in Toronto. We live in the capital of Canada, and it wasn't playing here. Which
Well, we
was
don't,
crazy.
but
well, you know what I mean.
We live in the biggest city.
Do.
Yeah.
The largest per capita.
I just wanted to nip that in the butt.
I know. Someone was going to tweet us.
Yeah, I just wanted to get
or threat us. Threat us, please.
I wanted to get right ahead of that
That's
controversy.
totally fair. Per capita, the biggest. And yeah, it wasn't playing here until like a week ago. Now it's pretty much at every theater, multiple viewings. So I would think.
Yeah.
I would think most places hopefully have it by now. Yeah, getting such rave reviews that they were like, Godzilla plus one.
That's right. Yeah. We'll keep going with it. Yeah. Big year for Godzilla. We covered Monarch a couple of weeks ago on the podcast, the new Apple TV show. But we're talking about Godzilla Minus One today, and it is a new film. And whenever we discuss something new on the podcast, we always give a spoiler-free review. So in case you're on the fence about seeing it, you want a taste of the episode, whatever your reason might be, we're going to give you a spoiler-free review. Then once you hear the theme music, that is when we will be entering the spoiler-filled section. But for now, the spoiler-free review will start with the usual question. Diana, did you like it?
Oh, I did really like it. It's a very high like. I think it would be a love if I was more into monster movies. They're actually like not my super like lovingest thing in my life. So I think if I loved monster movies, it would be a love. But it's a very high like. This is a very, very good movie. The human component is so excellent. The themes, the performances, the arcs the characters go on. Godzilla looks great. I love this design. I love the design and the execution of this Godzilla. I love that I knew like nothing about the plot going in and was very surprised about like the setting and what we were doing and where we were going with it. I think it told a wonderful story. The performances were great. We have to watch it subtitled, and even then emotion comes through. So you're like, you guys are crushing it. Don't even need these subtitles, and I probably get it. Overall, I really enjoyed it. Great human element, great Godzilla element. I loved the plan to stop him, and we'll get into that in the spoiler-filled section, but this was my all-time one of my favorite third act, let's do this plan things. I had a great time, but an emotional, also great story being told about the human side. Double-sided good Godzilla movie for me. Andrew, did you like Godzilla Minus One?
I'm a little confused as to what to do now that I have found the perfect movie.
Oh shit! Yeah. It's all downhill from here for you.
I
had a good run.
I'm literally having an existential crisis because the idea of a air quote perfect movie should be a concept.
Yeah,
it should be ethereal. It shouldn't be a thing that I am allowed to go see again. And this is the perfect movie. I'm bananas for it. I love it. I head over heels love it. My compliments to everyone. This is a movie where I am not kidding. I am unabashedly in love, and I believe that every single person in every single department working on this movie did the definition of a perfect job. Absolute 100% perfection. From direction to writing to performance to audio to visual effects, every single person did the absolute perfect job. I cannot believe that I am floored. I am floored that a movie this good exists. It is shocking. It is upsetting. I cannot believe it.
This is wonderful. This reminds me of on Star Trek Voyager when they go to Warp 10 and it makes you exist across all points in time and space. It feels like that's what's happening to you right now. You got to a 10 out of 10 movie and now you have exploded.
This is what I imagine humanity felt like when Prometheus first showed us fire.
Whoa! And they were like 10 out of 10.
I'm fucked.
Holy shit.
I'm
Okay.
fucked with how good this is.
This is intense.
Yes.
I'm a little intimidated right now.
You should be.
I don't even have a negative, but I'm still like, whoa.
Yeah. The pacing, the drama, the monster movie, and I'm not a monster movie guy.
No, I think we're both kind of on the same level of monster movie
I think
enjoyment.
we're both kind of neutral, where it's like we don't avoid it, we don't hate them. We
don't seek it out.
It's just not necessarily our wheelhouse. We're kind of open to having a good experience with monster movies. So I'm definitely not like a huge Godzilla fan. I don't follow the lore or canon necessarily. I'm not the canonical fandom guy to come to for this. But I do know a perfect movie when I see it, and it was this.
Holy crap. You're making my high like just look like shit.
Yeah.
But I'll live with it. I'm perfect movie for you.
And can it be spoiled?
I would actually say it can, because I am like chomping at the bit to talk about the third act, and I am holding back. I love what's happening in that third act. So I'm gonna say it can be spoiled. Just the specifics of what happens.
I think it can be spoiled in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I went in knowing very little, other than this movie had Godzilla in it. I loved not knowing that.
I haven't seen a movie in such a long time where I knew nothing. It felt really nice.
And I'm even going to say that, like, even for like from setting, plot devices, how it moves forward, the human component, a few surprises along the way. I think that there's a good bit that can be spoiled here. I recommend seeing this as fresh as possible.
I would also agree. Yeah, I knew nothing, and that helped a lot. Love a little absence of information every now and then.
Yeah.
Because so many times we'll watch something and we're like, this is based on the comic book Civil War, and in that comic book, this happened.
Yeah. This one is based on Godzilla, and Godzilla is in it.
He
and
is
like,
there.
There's no way to not spoil that for you. He is there.
I don't know. I mean, the title's -1.
And then for the rest of it,
could mean no Godzilla.
That's right. It could mean 0, but it does mean some. We'll spoil that much. All right, so you're a high like. I'm existing on the moon. I've left planet Earth, and you're a high like, and we think it can be spoiled.
Those are all the bases we cover when we cover a new movie.
Run to see this movie. And now let's get into the spoiler-filled section. Let's talk about Godzilla Minus One. I'm in love with the big boy. That's Godzilla. I love him.
Wow. New music from Godzilla by Andrew Ivamy. Grammys, Oscars, if you're looking for some nominations.
Get at me, dogs.
We got Andrew's new rendition of I'm in Love with Godzilla. Available in Redux.
Yep. Give me that. Give me the thick lad. It's
coming out on vinyl.
Yeah, I had a great time.
Holy crap.
I had a great time. I'm going to need you to rein me in on this episode, I'm going to say.
I mean, I don't wanna. I want Happy Andrew.
Well, if you want some semblance of sense, you're going to have to rein me in a little. Because
what's the thing you most are exploding about?
Holy
your
shit.
Your number one, your fire breath of Godzilla -1.
That is, I could really flip a coin as to, I love, it's so rare for a monster movie, a creature movie, to make me truly love the human element.
Yes.
The human element of this is incredible, truly incredible. It's a beautiful story about a man who is a kamikaze pilot who does not finish his mission and comes back to Japan alive with a combination of survivor's guilt and a societal shame over the fact that as a kamikaze pilot, it is a great shame to have not fulfilled your duty. So he's dealing with a societal shame while dealing with survivor's guilt and having lost his family and having seen Godzilla. So this man has survivor's guilt, PTSD, and a societal shame that is all kind of piling on top of one another and is giving such an emotional fueled performance that is just an absolute journey that I am 100% on board for. It is beautiful what this story and his story conveys, and it is a great emotionally charged performance in absolutely every scene.
It is a really great story. Yeah, he really goes on a journey of healing, of dealing with everything he's going through from a society point of view, from the secrets he has to keep. It is such a good story about like a survivor coming back from war, that this would still be a good movie without Godzilla in it.
Yes.
Godzilla could be completely removed and he could just be a kamikaze pilot who didn't fulfill his mission. And this movie would be almost equally as enthralling and impactful. It would just not have a giant monster in it. Mm-hmm. But like, like the fact that a man could go through just normal things like that and be very messed up. And then they added Godzilla. That's fucked.
That's
that
fucked.
poor guy.
That's the -1.
That's the -1.
That is the -1.
Yeah. So you understand completely why he's like holding back from being with Noriko, who he like definitely really loves and doesn't want to become a dad to her child because he doesn't feel like he deserves them, definitely at the core.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
The survivor's guilt is way too deep.
He feels like he doesn't deserve to be alive or exist in society, let alone have anything nice in his world.
And it's such an interesting theme to explore of a man who doesn't feel like he should be alive, but the only reason he's alive is because he wanted to live and didn't want to run a suicide mission. So he's placed himself into this terrible limbo of life or of purgatory.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not alive, but I'm not dead, but I think I'm dead sometimes, and sometimes I think I want to live, and then the ghosts come back to haunt me, or sometimes just genuinely Godzilla, who I cannot escape. I can't emphasize enough, this man fights Godzilla 4 times.
Yes. Yeah.
That's a wild amount of times to fight Godzilla.
Yeah, that is too many. One's enough.
In
One is enough.
1945, you fought Godzilla 4 times. And went through all that other shit.
Yeah.
Your parents died. Tokyo's destroyed.
Yeah. Bombings, dishonorably sneaking away from your duty. You've survived quite a bit and fought Godzilla 4 times.
And fought Godzilla 4
Air quote
times.
fought. Air quote fought as well.
He got hits in every time. The third time he didn't, when Noriko was just in danger.
First time he doesn't either.
Oh, yeah, because he doesn't shoot.
He doesn't shoot, which I think is also a very important thing as well. There's so much this movie has to say about the trauma of war from several different levels, of the how unreasonable it is to ask someone to give their life in the way that these pilots were asked to give their life. Like how unreasonable it is even within the depths of war to treat life this way. And this man kind of realizing it. But even in this opening scene where his plane is on this airfield because he's pretended he had a mechanical problem and is getting it inspected, when really it's just him avoiding having to fly to his death. And that's when Godzilla attacks. And this engineer being like, shoot him, get in your pilot seat and shoot Godzilla. And all of them survive by hiding and he gets in the plane and doesn't shoot. And it isn't until the rest of them shoot that Godzilla kills them. And this shame that is carried forward with him and the shame that the engineer lays on him to be like, we're dead because you didn't shoot. And the truth of the matter is they're dead because they did shoot.
Yeah.
Because they fought a fight that was unwinnable, which is what the point of the war is at that point in Japan as well. Like they even say that they're like, the war's already set. Like it's over. We've lost it. Why are we flying to die? Like it's meaningless death for the sake of fake honor. So I love this opening as well, to be like, choosing nonviolence, choosing to live is what allows you to live. But it does make you live then with the guilt of everyone who died, but they die because they chose to fight, they chose violence, and they chose to do that in that moment. There's a lot of complexity just in that one opening sequence of him getting this team of mechanics and engineers, or them not getting them, but them dying in his presence.
Yeah, it is a very good sequence. I actually do. This is one of those movies where I'm like, we should watch it again for the themes, because I was picking up the wrong themes, kind of only just because of me, I think, in that opening, because I wasn't reading it as he wanted to live. I was reading both of these choices as he didn't want to kill, which is slightly different.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is I don't want to drop a bomb and kill, even if I'm going to die. And also, like, Godzilla hadn't hurt anyone yet. He was just a giant lizard on the beach. So I also was like, oh, this is going to be one of those, because I think the first Godzilla with Aaron Tyler Johnson in it is like, me and Godzilla are friends.
Yeah.
I thought this was going to be one of those, like, me and Godzilla are friends. If I don't fire on him, we'll team up against Mothra later. We hadn't seen a trailer. I didn't know this was a just Godzilla movie. So I was kind of leaning towards the wrong themes. But you're absolutely on point of what they are. It is choosing to live, not choosing not to kill.
And I think that, like, no one would fault you for interpreting that, because you're right. This is what you were interpreting is a theme that other Godzilla movies have had, especially more recent ones, which, not being the monster movie or the kaiju movie expert or anything, but I would say is kind of like more of a King Kong influence of to be like, we have to respect nature and it's a gentle giant and we need to actually find peace with it.
Because Kong's a little cuter.
Kong's a little cuter.
You don't want to shoot him with as many guns.
And there's some stuff in the gut you really don't.
You
want to be buds.
You're like, I think I can do sign language with this guy.
And there's some stuff in the Godzilla series that does kind of play into that, especially the more modern stuff of like it's a creature of nature and we should be respecting nature. And yeah, at the beginning it's like, and I think that that's the question that this character is going through. So I think it's so reasonable that you were kind of uncertain as to what the theme of this movie was at first, because that's the journey this character is going on. Shikishima is going through this journey of like, am I a coward? Am I a coward? Am I someone who's actually just afraid to kill, who's afraid to get in the fight? Am I getting people hurt because I won't stand up for anything, because I'm shameful, because now I'm like, he's carrying the shame of like, I've put a burden on my nation, I haven't protected anyone, all of these people have died because of me. Am I a coward who won't fight? And I think the conclusion of the movie is, no, I'm willing to fight for something, but I do want to live. And that's normal. That's rational. And what was asked of us was too much. Mm-hmm. And I like it ending in that place. And that changes the coloring of that first scene.
Oh, it absolutely does.
But that first scene does have multiple ways that film could have gone with that, I think.
Yeah, but it's a very clear, great theme of, I want to fight for something, but I want to enjoy that thing and live afterwards.
Yeah.
I'm not a coward. I'm not an idiot.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm a living being who wants to enjoy the fruits of my sacrificial labors.
And one thing that you said as well, which this movie deserves all the love and respect in the world, is that I think that the human story is incredible and is probably the highlight for me, and that's hard and rare to do in a kaiju movie. On top of that, when you brought up to be like, well, it's this perfect human story that if you deleted the Godzilla scenes, it's a great movie still. The fact that the Godzilla scenes do not clash or detract from that at all is a remarkable work of four-dimensional chess that I can't even fathom how they stitched it together as well as it did to have these stories work in conjunction without negatively affecting one another.
Yeah, because it's this quiet, like, personal tragedy happening, and then it doesn't feel jarring when Godzilla's suddenly there.
Yeah. Like,
all of a sudden there's a giant monster, and this isn't a world where monsters exist, and this isn't a world where we have the machinery to fight them. And, like, it shouldn't work. It absolutely should not. But they have designed this Godzilla in such a way, even though he's, like, shooting atomic breath and he's glowing, that you're just like, no, he's really there. He feels wildly real.
His eyes are unsettling. Yeah.
I could talk about the design of this Godzilla for the entire episode.
Let's lay into it.
Okay.
Give me some of that, please.
Okay. In the very beginning, you talked about how everyone is doing A+ work. I could see this Godzilla all the time. Never too dark, never too bright, perfectly lit Godzilla. What I loved about him is how he was, these are the two things that I love about this Godzilla. He was crisp and he was thick. There was no blurry, edgy lines that you get on a lot of CG characters of like, oh, everything's kind of melding into each other a little bit. He's wildly crisp. He looks very real. He looks like a man in a costume blown up, but like in a good way. Like if that was a real lizard. Like all the details look like shadowed right, colored correctly. They look wildly good. And he's so thick. His thighs are crazy. His arms are small. He's got boobs and a belly. Like, he's not sexy, and that makes him sexy?
Yeah.
I'm like, Godzilla's not even trying. Godzilla doesn't care what you think about him right now. Godzilla's like, I'm just living my life. I'm destroying your city. Yeah, my stomach's sagging. My legs are thick, boys. My arms are too short, but I look great. And he does. He looks great.
He's big enough he destroys buildings, so it's fucked up for me to say this in a movie where there's not multiple Godzillas. There's no other creatures. There's just one, and he's bigger than a building. But I feel like he's a short king. Do you understand what I'm saying?
He is like a little stout.
Yeah, I look at him, and even though he is larger than everything else in scale, I'm like, look at this short little king. I fucking love this dude.
You can tell there's a taller Godzilla out there.
Yeah.
You can tell he's got an older brother somewhere.
Yeah.
Even though you've only seen one. There's a bigger Godzilla.
There's a bigger Godzilla.
I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
But I loved looking at him. And then he's got these like dead eyes that I think are supposed to be like from like Man in a Suit original Godzilla eyes. Like they just don't really move. They're just kind of white and there, but it's purposeful. It's not like they were like, we don't know how to animate eyes. And he moves in this clunky way that, again, I do feel like is very inspired by original person in a Godzilla suit, like how it looked.
Yeah.
And I think that's really great. I think it genuinely looks really good and feels like a real creature.
And visually, the combination as well of like, I haven't seen behind the scenes footage, but just like the feel of some of these scenes, I'm like, some of this is visual effects, some of it's miniature, and I think some of it might be guy in a suit. But
sometimes it felt like guy in a suit, right?
But it's a mixture of different effects, all of which work perfectly, because this is a thing I think we've talked about on other episodes before for lesser movies, whereas like lesser movies are like, we made a choice and we're sticking with it even when that's not motivated. Like we're the movie that uses miniatures, and it's like, that actually looks like shit in some of the scenes. Why did you use miniatures in these ones? And it's like, because that's our gimmick. And it's like, we're the ones that are all visual effects. We're the ones that are all costumes. And it's like, but you need to decide what is best for the scene in every given moment as to how you're going to film it and how you're going to approach it as a filmmaker. And there's so many different approaches here, and each one is the absolute correct choice for that scene. It is just a home run every second, every time.
Yeah, because like he's definitely CG in the water, but when he picked up that train and took a bite out of it, I'm like, I think a dude just bit a train. And then that looked like miniatures for sure.
And when they throw the train, it feels like miniatures as well. Yeah.
A great, perfect mix of practical and CG, or maybe just incredible CG. As we said, we haven't seen the behind the scenes.
And even the roller coaster of emotions that it puts me on, that like it doesn't clash.
No,
it doesn't clash with the survivor's guilt PTSD story of a World War II kamikaze pilot. It doesn't clash, but it sends me to a completely different place emotionally without clashing somehow. Because there will be moments with Shikishima and Noriko, and they're talking, and they're like, we've lost all of our family, we're raising an orphan, things couldn't be worse, the city's on fire, and then, oh my god, I've lost my wife due to this blue blast from this crazy dude, and then it cuts to like a 10-minute Godzilla sequence, and I'm like, yes, my dude, get it. I'm rooting for him, which is nuts, but just the vibes are different at times, and it feels like a classic Godzilla movie all of a sudden. And I'm not mad at it for that. Like, it doesn't make me feel guilty to be like, it makes me just switch gears in a way that isn't jarring. And I can't believe it does that successfully.
It is wild how well it mixes together. Like, there's a scene that should be very funny, and I wrote it down as a potentially funny scene, but it actually wasn't when you watch it because the actors played it so seriously. And it's the scene where Shikishima is telling Noriko about like what he's been holding back. And he opens up this scene to her, and he's talking to her, and he's like, I was a kamikaze pilot, and I've never told you this, but I like lied about my plane being faulty, and I was a coward, and I didn't crash my plane. And she looks at him, and she's like, okay, that's gonna be the story. And then he walks away, and then the next part of that scene is, and a giant monster killed some guys that I could have shot. And that scene is comedy in an American Godzilla movie.
Yes.
In an American Godzilla movie, suddenly it's very funny that you're like, wait, what's the second part about that? Because she doesn't know about monsters because the public hasn't been told yet because
The government's been hiding it.
Yeah,
And
so like the city hasn't been attacked yet. So she doesn't know monster or a monster is real. But she just accepts it because the scene is so serious and they've known each other for 3 years now. She knows he's either like crazy in a help you way or not, or telling the truth and just accepts it. So the movie all fits together in that way, but that scene is wildly different in the American version. If you were to translate this, there's no way an American wife is like, yes, of course, the monster.
Yeah, yeah.
And I just really liked that choice. Like it really kept the world all as one piece of like, no, his trauma is real and she believes him.
Yes, I understand that. Yeah. And I also feel like it belongs in that era as well, because not only does it feel like she believes him and it feels like it's played seriously. I agree with everything that you're saying there. But it also feels like this exists at a point in history where it's the last time where people traveled and experienced something that word hasn't gotten around about.
Oh,
you know,
okay.
like a post World War II of like soldiers coming back and being like, I was in a place that you've heard of in newspapers, and like the locals had a thing that might be real, and like we can't research it or Google it, and like I can't access satellite imagery on my phone, and like you're more willing to believe certain
what you're
things.
saying. Yeah, like I saw an elephant.
Yeah.
I saw a giraffe, a horse with a neck so long it can eat from the treetops.
Yeah,
But
and just that idea as well of like even around like mythos of like Allied and Axis weapons as well, to be like who's building what is real, what is atomic testing as well, to be like, you know, the atomic bomb, I'm sure, seemed unreal as Godzilla is a feed off of that, to be like reality is now questioned.
I was actually just about to say that more so than like the lack of information, I would say the incredible things that have happened in such a short time to these people, of World War II, 2 atomic bombs dropping, of like, well, this is a world where anything can happen, even though it's the real world until the Godzilla stuff.
Yeah.
It's just like, yes, this world is different and changing and Tokyo's destroyed and sure, there's monsters.
A really big prehistoric creature, it feels less fableized than splitting the atomic structure of existence to the destruction of islands.
It absolutely does. I completely agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like that scene absolutely worked and involved the meshing of the two genres that shouldn't go together, but it works perfectly.
Yeah. It absolutely does. There's so many things that are having this like intricate dance with one another in this movie that I just can't believe that they all work together, and they somehow do. I'll take one moment to say like 2 negative things.
Oh shit.
I will say 2 simple negative things, and these are the simplest things that I can come up with. I just want to like have some criticism. There was like one.
But you're at 10 out of 10.
Right? There's like one bad edit. There's like one bad edit where it cuts to like the war footage, and it felt like it was weird in like the middle of a scene where it was like, I think it was like Shikishima talking to Noriko, and like they're having an emotional scene or whatever, where it's like, okay, like maybe we can build the house. It's not your baby. All right, we'll see what we can do on the war front. And it just hard cut to this grainy, World War II propaganda era of military coverage of what's going on. And it was too harsh, too fast. It actually seemed like it was a mistake.
I get that. Yeah, that felt very like inserted for American audiences. Like we'll give them one one little moment where they don't have to read subtitles. It almost felt like what I agree, it was like a little bit harsh, but it almost even felt a little bit like a commentary of like, this is how fucking America tells their news. It just comes at you and it blares and it comes out of nowhere. And in a way, and I don't know if that was purposeful and that was what they were trying to get at, but I do agree that just for a thing they only use once, like they only one time use like American news footage tracking Godzilla like updates. So it is a little jarring and it's like not a constant thing. And it does just like it maybe is the only thing that doesn't fit the tone of the film.
It comes in hot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It comes in hot.
It comes in hot. So I didn't like that one scene edit. Didn't work.
Man, the
It's
director's
starting to fall apart
crying,
now.
crying at home.
And this was just a choice, and I haven't looked up this plane. And I'm not a World War II buff or a plane buff, or maybe it's based on a real design or schematic or yada yada yada. The plane that the lead character is flying in the final sequence in Act 3, I hate how it looks. It's got a tail propeller, and its wings are big at the back with these two lil wings at the front. It looked like it was flying in reverse the whole time.
This is actually very close to the moment, my moment of maybe the only time I laughed and I wasn't supposed to in this movie. There's this actually did get me really hard. So he's in the plane. It's like he's about to take off and go fight Godzilla. And it's a very serious moment. He's sitting in the plane. He's thinking about, I'm going to go fight Godzilla. And he takes out a picture of who he thinks is his dead lover and puts the picture in the cockpit. And he takes out the photos of all the dead mechanics who he thinks he got killed. And he's like, puts those pictures down too. And then he opens up the photo that his daughter had drawn, which we have not seen to this point. And it was the worst fucking drawing I've ever seen in my life. And I know she's only 3, but you really need to have showed us that before, because in this dramatic moment to reveal that's what the photo looked like, it's just 3 circles. It's just 3 circles, and it took me out so hard.
You're cold-blooded. I thought it was so cute.
No, it wasn't. They didn't even have clothes or bodies.
It's a 2-year-old, a 3-year-old's drawing.
And it can't be the reveal in a very serious scene. It needed to have been shown in the scene before when she handed it to him. Mm-hmm. I can't be like in tears being like, oh, he's gonna die. He's gonna die for his love fighting Godzilla. Look at that fucking drawing. It's so bad. No kudos to that kid.
Okay.
Maybe if the kid had a little bit more time, it was like, this is the last photo you're ever gonna get.
How much do you want from this kid?
A lot.
You want a lot from this kid?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have sacrificed a lot for this child.
Okay, that is
really
true.
Built up.
That is true. People are doing their best for this kid.
Oh, she's been well cared for.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, she has.
So that's my literal only, like, it's not even a negative. It was just like...
Just didn't like that drawing.
This didn't get me. Kudos to anyone who was like, yeah, love this drawing. Not this girl.
But yeah, the collection of other drawings was powerful.
Oh yeah, I mean, as soon as the surviving mechanic gives him all the photos of all the engineers who died, who he's blaming our main character for, that's wildly dark. Holy crap!
Yeah.
No wonder and like some of them have blood on them.
Yeah.
No wonder this guy is haunted by this and can't let it go.
Oh, of course. Yeah. He's literally carrying his burdens around with him at all times.
Yeah, quite literally.
Yeah.
I was really surprised that he didn't feel a little better about it when he did get to shoot Godzilla with the big gun on the boat. To be like, yes, this definitely wouldn't have killed Godzilla back on that island.
Yeah, he never quite puts those two pieces together.
Yeah, he would not have saved those men.
Yeah, it may, yeah. But he was also aimed like right at the mouth in the same way. He could have gotten lucky, perhaps, but there's no way of knowing that. But yeah, he never quite puts together, because I think it is even like the same caliber weapon where like at that airfield they're like, it'll do it, and now he's underpowered and it doesn't do it. He's seen what this thing can do. So, but yeah, he never quite puts it together.
I guess if he used the bomb in the plane, the gun was never going to do it. But I guess the original plane still had a bomb in it.
It had a bomb. I don't know if it wasn't a missile though. It was just the gun that shot forward.
You could just turn the engine on and drive forward.
Yeah. Get a slow moving going. Get a little bit of slow movement going.
But yeah, he never seemed to be like, good. I've proven that I wouldn't have killed him.
Yeah. He never quite puts that together. No.
But there are good plans in this movie.
Lay it on me. Go into it.
When that professor or like ex-Navy officer or whatever went up and he was like, this is the plan to stop Godzilla. And I was on the edge of my seat because I'm like, I don't know what you're going to do with this wildly healing Godzilla in a time when we don't have weapons that can kill Godzilla.
Full-on Wolverine Godzilla. And he went over this plan where we are going to seesaw him to death with ocean pressure. And I was ecstatic. I was over the moon.
it's kind of like a Doctor Who-y, like non-violent way to kill a monster.
I really kind of loved it to
Just
be like
using nature's natural kill switches. So cool.
Yeah.
So cool. I loved this plan.
I thought it was really
And it
slick
was so
as well.
clean to explain it. Like, we're going to wrap him in the cords. And, like, some of these plans usually in these movies are a little, like, I can't picture it until it's happening. But they just had a little projector screen. And, like, we're going to wrap him in cords. And the Freon's going to make him go down. And I'm like, yeah, I can see it. Yeah, I think that'll work.
Yeah.
I'm in the audience. And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, it's a real like water-based AT-AT attack type of a thing. To be like, let's tie up the legs and kind of bring it down.
If the AT-AT's like got shot into space afterwards.
Yeah, and then
or
afterwards you shoot it up. Yeah.
But yeah, the dual plan of the Freon's gonna bring it to the bottom, and then we're gonna shoot him full of mattresses that are gonna send him to the top.
So cool.
So cool, and so like of the era. Like that's all they would have had to work with.
Yeah.
Yeah, like nothing like sci-fi about it.
No,
I was like, yeah, I think you have tanks and I think you have inflatable rafts.
And being like, we don't have American help due to Soviet tension, and be like, we're on our own. What can we do? And just kind of just sciencing the shit out of it. I really loved that as well. I thought it was cool.
And even just like the tag team like storytelling aspect of all the civilians get to do the main part, and then our hero, the pilot, is like, oh, he's hurt enough now that I can't explode him with the plane. Like everyone gets something to do. Like I love when a final fight scene is like every main character does get to contribute in a substantial way.
Because he was visibly screwed up from having done that.
Yeah. He was all like white and already falling apart. Also, the visuals of when he died were crazy.
Whoa. Yeah, they blew his skull off.
They blew his skull off, and then he kind of deteriorated like Thanos did to Drax with the Reality Stone. Like he just turned into cubes.
Yeah, well, I think it was just like the amount of energy that he had built up that didn't discharge is kind of what ripped him apart internally as well. And I also really loved how the way that they did that charge up effect as well. These spine pieces that would kind of click out to let you know that he's about to do the nuclear blast thing.
Yeah, like a roller coaster going up.
Yeah.
Of a nuclear blast up his spine.
Yeah.
Click, click, click,
charging it up. It did feel very reminiscent of. I felt bad that there was part of me that was like, this is very Independence Day. That like as Shakisha was doing it, it felt very like Randy Quaid being like, remember me, boys? I'm back. And then flying right into the eye of that ship that was on Earth.
Oh, I didn't get that. But yeah, now I can see it. I mean, like he's admitted to several huge influences, obviously other Godzilla stuff, but also influenced by Jaws in the first attack.
Oh, clear. Yeah,
the director like obviously just stated like, yeah, when we throw a bomb in a guy's mouth and you throw it and you blow it up from a boat, that's from Jaws.
Yeah. And that's showing that like the Jaws strategy doesn't work.
Yeah.
But we need to go bigger with it.
And also very much like Jaws, just like a giant monster who hates one dude in particular. Jeez. How does he keep finding him?
This one dude. This one guy. Yeah, this guy has a really tough series of run-ins with Godzilla. But like, I think that's also like really kind of plays into the emotional turmoil of his character as well. To be like, he feels like that he's not being allowed to rest. That this is the ghost that is following him.
I get why he would think that. Yeah. He definitely has a reason to think he's been cursed by Godzilla.
Yeah, his war's not over. Oh,
yeah, I see why he's like, I'll lure him away. Godzilla just appears wherever I am. I am the Godzilla
magnet or whatever. Yeah. But I liked him. I liked the entire mine-sweeping crew, the doctor who comes up with the Freon plan. They all get a hand on the ball at the end in fighting Godzilla, dragging him down to the depths, shooting him back up, blowing him up, having the ejector seat.
The ejector seat storyline of the engineer forgiving him. Oh, my God.
That was nice. I saw that coming a little bit. I don't know if you quite...
I saw it coming, but it was still very well portrayed.
I didn't expect the wife to, or the, what presumably will be his wife.
Quote wife.
Noriko. I didn't expect her to survive after that, like, blown away by the blast. That was legitimately like a shocking and emotional twist for me.
Oh, I didn't. I was like, whenever I don't see a body, I expect someone to come back. But I also like would have accepted that like she was toast.
I think it was due to the fact that there were no bodies on the street that I'm like, people were flat out vaporized. That I kind of thought that I was like, she's done. She's
Yeah.
done.
No, yeah, I could have. Yeah, I was good either way on that one. I wasn't surprised she was alive, but I also would have been like, she's probably dead. Yeah.
Yeah. But she came back. That was a nice emotional surprise for me. That was one of the spoilers that I wanted to like avoid in the spoiler-free review.
Oh,
where I'm
that
like,
she
that
was
actually caught me
alive.
off guard. You know, the ejector seat I saw coming. I didn't see the hospital telegram coming, so that kind of caught me. But they seeded that really well as well with Shikishima looking for Takibana looking for like the engineer and being like, our records are fucked right now. We can't find anyone. Everything is goddamn chaos.
Yeah, if you're unconscious in a hospital, they don't know where you live in 1947. Like you don't have your purse blew away. You don't have your ID on you.
But setting up though, just like the chaos of the system in that moment, I thought was really smart in setting it up with the anime, with like, you know, that animus person from his past, that level of animosity, and then setting it up and looking for him. I really like the cleverness of like, I wrote you letters blaming it on you because I know then you would come looking for me. Oh, that's good shit too.
Oh man, yeah. Instead of asking for help, I just made you mad because I knew that would bring you over here. Like this really is a movie that's a study of the human condition in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And the study of like Godzilla's biology in much smaller ways.
Yeah. Well, like, and his understanding of the human condition is also the plan to lure Godzilla as well, where it's like, I'm going to attack and that's going to draw you in. And all of this movie, it's like, why does it keep getting closer to our cities? Why does it keep getting closer to Tokyo? If we keep putting more and more weapons between him and these cities, and he keeps coming closer, and just that underlying thing that that attack provokes attack, and that underlying human message as well, that to be like it is a cycle and it keeps going, and actually like taking a step back is one of the safer things. So I like that as like an underlying thing through both storylines as well.
Yeah, attack provokes attack.
Yeah.
It's full of incredible themes. This movie has a lot of great themes. May I take a quick trip to Trope Corner?
Lay it on me.
I'm gonna go to Trope Corner. This is not a negative of this movie because I like these movies need this, but I'm always just like, Trope Corner. Everyone who's mad at scientists who won't give them 100% guarantee answers because they won't lie to them.
Yeah.
Everyone who's like, lie to me, scientist. Will it 100% guarantee kill Godzilla? And he's like, no. Like, I'm pretty sure, but not 100% sure. And everyone in the audience is like, oh, fuck this guy. I hate this.
And it's like, he's the only guy with any ideas.
And and he's so honest about it. Like, this guy is not trying to fuck you over. This guy is laying it all out. He's asking for volunteers. And you're so mad at him multiple times at the presentation. Later at supper, his best friend is like, oh, there's a plan B. And he's like, yeah, but it might not work either. And he's like, oh, come on. Why aren't you 100% sure how to kill a monster?
Why don't you just come up with a better plan? It's like, well, but this is the one I came up with, though.
This is the best we can do. I have so little information. So it's a trope I get so frustrated on behalf of the scientist for every single time.
Yes.
Like, can you just be like, oh, thank God, we have a plan to stop Godzilla.
Yeah, get on. I know that you've all been through a lot. But
guys.
like being disappointed in the situation, but like the scientist's doing his best.
He's doing his absolute best.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I will say, like, that guy does get a change of heart. It's the captain, because later he's talking to them when they're actually on the ships and they're going through with the plan, and he has a really good line I'm trying to paraphrase. It's something like, we can either run away and do nothing and hope for a miracle, or we can do something and hope for a miracle. And it's like, might as well do something and hope for a miracle. I'm like, I love that.
Yeah. I like the gallows humor soldier who makes a joke after a couple of people walk out. Do you remember that? Where it's like,
what did he say?
I forget exactly what he said, but it was something where it was just like, so we're supposed to walk out to die, huh? You already asked us to do it once, so whatever, and everyone laughs. Like, just that, like, that punch-drunk gallows humor of a soldier who's been through it was pretty real and like a fun little moment as well. And then everybody being like, "Yeah, fuck it, we're in. You know, we're here.
We're here. Let's die."
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think my last like just wonderful moment that I think was so good was when he gets in the plane and he's about to take off and his hands start shaking again and he says, "Look at that, I still want to live."
Yeah.
Oh, that was a gut punch moment. It was so incredible. Like, it just really encapsulated like everything this character's gone through of do I want to live or do I want to die? And he just gets his answer.
Yeah.
That he wants to live.
And going to do something non-selfishly, and I think that is the question that he's dealing with this entire movie is it selfish of me to want to live? And I think at this point in the movie, his character has gone through the growth of like, I'm doing the selfless thing and I still want to live. I don't necessarily need to have guilt over wanting to live previously. Like it's not like wanting to live is not an admission of weakness. You can be selfless or selfish, but that's irrelevant to the will to live. Yeah. So the shakes in that moment really good.
Great
Really
movie.
Good. Yeah, great movie.
Shakes, great movies. Great Godzilla.
Well, let's go into the close. Let's ask the final question of what would you change? So now that we've discussed everything we've discussed, what would you change about this if you could change anything?
I can't wait to hear what you're going to change just to 10 out of 10.
Right? Well, before we do ask that final question, we will remind you, as we do every week, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podcast Addict, wherever you get your podcasts, wherever you're listening.
Wherever you're listening, there's probably a way for you to leave a 5-star review, or at least a rating. You can probably leave a review. We would absolutely love that if you could tell people we're cool and we love Godzilla Minus One and we're hip and we're happening and you should spend all of 2024 listening to us.
Yep.
And happy holidays. Write whatever you feel like, honestly.
Write whatever you feel like.
Whatever's in your heart.
We read it. We love it. It makes a big difference in the podcast, and it's a free way to support the show. But if you do have some money and are in a giving mood for the time of the year and want to support the show, you can do that and get cool bonuses for it as well over on Patreon. Patreon is a monthly subscription service where you can subscribe at whatever level is in your budget and get cool bonuses for it. You can subscribe at $1, $3, $5, $10, $15, $20, however much money you have, and you'll get different kinds of cool bonuses for doing so.
We will take all the monies and we will give back in different ways. At the $3 level, you get this podcast early and ad-free. Early is very fun if you want to know before a weekend if a new release is coming out, how we think about it. For example, Aquaman will be out early for the $3 level patrons.
Or this right now.
This
right now. This isn't the earliest, but it's an early one.
It's early if you've paid $3 on the patreon.com.
And at the $10 level, you also get an exclusive bonus episode of this podcast every single month. This month, for the holiday vibes, we covered Jingle All the Way and had a fun time doing it.
We had a fun time doing it. And last month we did Monarch. What's the end part of Monarch?
Right? Yeah.
There's a colon and then some other words
there
on the
sure
show Monarch.
Is.
We watched it better.
I think Legacy of Monsters.
Ooh, something like that.
Something like that.
Anyway, that was way back in November, but it's there.
But that's also there because you get immediate access to the full back catalog when you sign up at the $10 hero level. You can sign up monthly, and then if your budget changes, you can cancel or change on any given month. Or if you want to, you can also sign up at a yearly level, and then you get 1 month for free as well. So lots of different options. Head over and check it out at patreon.com/fromsuperheroes. That's patreon.com/fromsuperheroes. And now let's go into the close. Let's ask the final question of what would you change? Diana, what would you change?
My change is pretty small. I think the movie is very, very good. I think just like between the second and third act, I think there is just a slight pacing issue where there is a very long stretch without Godzilla, and it might be the only time where it does feel a little like, oh, right, I'm in a monster movie, when he does eventually come back later. It's like Noriko has died, and like then we're figuring out how to fight Godzilla. There's kind of a long stretch, because I think what this movie does really well is it really analyzes like grief and emotions. But I don't think this movie kind of sits in destruction enough for the audience to feel what the characters are feeling. So like, we don't really get like an expansive view of Tokyo destroyed, even from non-Godzilla things. We just kind of see his house destroyed, has been destroyed. Like we see Godzilla destroying the city, but like we don't really go back to it ever again. We don't see other places being destroyed. We just get a little map view. So I kind of just want like maybe even another like newsreel, or just some like fishing communities have been destroyed. Just a little bit of extra destruction instead of grief for a scene or two, just so it's like, oh, it's still a little actiony. It's still like, this is what I'm worried about. These are the stakes we're fighting. Because when they're like getting everything together, it's like, it kind of doesn't feel like Godzilla is impending doom.
I see what you're saying.
It's like, maybe he'll come back, but we don't know for sure. Like, there's nothing in Tokyo he necessarily wants. They haven't established that he's going to come here for sure. So yeah, I think just set up that he's definitely coming for sure, and maybe there's a timeline, or just set up some more like he's destroyed these things on the way. We know he's coming. Just a little bit more destruction.
Interesting.
But just a little.
Just a little.
Just a tad.
All right.
Just to pick up the pace a little during all the grief. Andrew, what would you change? Can't wait.
I got nothing.
That's not how what would you change works.
No, I'm just copping out. I got
You're
nothing.
not even going to change that plane?
No.
Holy crap.
Yep.
All right.
So that's a zero changer for me.
All right. I don't know if that's legal. Judges?
Done. It's legal.
All right. It's legal.
Gavel. I'm putting it in for the first time ever.
We've decided.
No change.
All right.
I'm just here.
Andrew's just here.
I'm just
He
here
loved
for it.
He'll watch it again.
Yep. I'm right
Accepted.
there.
All right.
Perfect.
All right. Accepted.
Boom. Well, that's going to be it for this week. Just a Diana change. That's going to be it for this week.
Hope you liked it.
I hope you liked it. For the podcast. Next week on the podcast, we are going to be back and we're going to be talking about Aquaman 2.
The Lost Kingdom?
Yeah, that sounds right.
That's the name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about the second Aquaman film next week on the podcast. In the meantime, if you want to get a hold of us, you can find me on Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky. I'm at Ivimey, Ivimey.
You can find me at Pics of Diana on Threads and Instagram and Words of Diana on Tumblr. Yeah. Instagram is pics, so I couldn't use words of.
Yeah.
I wish my names matched.
No, I get it, but there's still a running theme between the two.
Theme of Diana's.
And if you want to find both of us, we're most places at From Superheroes, and you can find all of our podcasts, webcomic, and everything over at FromSuperheroes.com, and we'll talk to y'all next week.
Bye.
Podcast interviews are way more exciting with some money where those mouths are. Hi, I'm Nug Nargang. I'm the host of a new podcast called $1 Words. Join me and my guest for an interview with a twist. We'll each be given secret lists of 5 random words. During the interview, for each word they get me to say, they win $1. But I get $1 back for each word on my list that they say. Will the guest win $5? Will they owe me $5? What the hell's this interview going to sound like? Listen along as we play $1 Words. Available on the Sonar Network. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.